Hello and welcome to a new tutorial. This is Everything April YouTube channel and you're welcome. Thank you to all my subscribers and all my returning viewers. And if this is your first time checking out my channel, you're welcome. Please subscribe if you're yet to subscribe and also click on the notification bell to be notified every time I upload a new video. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. So today's video is on how to make a simple short bubu dress with fringe attached to the hem. This is a very easy to make dress and it is beginner friendly. So here I have my fringe. I'm using a fringe. The length of the fringe I'm using is about 6 inches. So the method I'll be using to attach this, you can use to attach any fringe of any length, whether the fringe is longer than this or shorter than this or of the same length as the one I'm using. They are all the same method of attaching them to the hem of any dress. So I have my fabric folded. I've already folded my fabric into four. I'm using fabric. My fabric is just some inches less than 2 yards. So I folded all my fabric into two by the yard, and I'm folded it again into two, making it four. I'm cutting the front and the back together, and I've ruled a line at the top part which will act as my shoulder line. So from that shoulder line to the hem of this fabric, to the end of the fabric, I have 34 inches with the hem allowance inclusive. So I'm going to measure my neck line. I'm using a neck width of 3 inches and a neck depth of 1 inch. So if you're of a bigger size, you can use 3.5 inches for the neck width. And for the front, I'm using a neck depth of 3 inches. Also, for a big size, you can use 3.5 by 3.5 inches. So I've carved out my neckline. The next thing now would be to impute on the shoulder line half of my shoulder measurements plus the length of my sleeve, the desired length of my sleeve. Half of my shoulder measurement is 7 inches and I want a sleeve length of 13 inches plus 1 inch hemming allowance, making it 14 inches. So I've measured a total of 21 inches. So from that 21 inches, I came down by 2 inches for the shoulder slope. Then I'll connect that to the neck width, to the 3 inches of the neck width, as you see me do. So another way you can take your sleeve length is by measuring from the nape of the neck to the sleeve, to the hand where you want the sleeve to stop. That is another way of taking this measurement, and that's what you impute. So from the point I came down by 2 inches for the shoulder slope, I'm going to take my sleeve opening, what I want for the sleeve opening, and I want 8 inches there. So I'm going to measure 8 inches from the shoulder slope. That will be for my sleeve opening. So I'm also going to measure 21 inches at this point. So I'm connecting the 21 inches from the shoulder slope down to these 8 inches for the sleeve opening. Then at this point I came down by, I'm going to measure 2 inches inward. I'm measuring 2 inches inward. So I'm left with 19 inches. So I'm going to measure this same 19 inches to the hem parts, so that I will have from that point I came in by 2 inches down to the hem will be 19 inches. So I'm connecting them together with a straight line. Then at this angle, 90 degrees angle made at this point, I'm going to make a curve and connect it back to the straight line going downward to the hem. So I've made a curve at that point, just like we do for the armhole curve. I'm also going to add ½ inch joining allowance at the shoulder for joining the um, front part to the back part. So I'm taking ½ inch joining allowance at the shoulder and I'm connecting it as you see me do. So I'll go ahead, I've just drafted this, so I'll go ahead and cut out. So I've cut this out. I'll separate the back piece from the front piece and then cut out the neckline for the front piece. So for the front piece, I'm going to extend the neckline. You can do that by extending or putting a slit of 4 inches or thereabout. But for me, I want a U shape, in front, a smaller U shape in front. So from where the neckline stopped, I measured a length of 3 inches. From where the front neckline stopped, I measured 3 inches and made a U shape. So the width of this U shape is about 1 inch. Is about 1 inch. So I just made this U shape to enable the head of the wearer pass through the dress when wearing it. So it's either you make any design that will accommodate the head to pass, or you make a slit of about 4 inches. I have cut out the neckline for the front, so I'm going to fold a smaller piece for facing and place it underneath and trace out the neckline of the front piece. So after tracing that out, I'll measure from the neckline. I'll measure 4 inches for the facing, for the size of the facing. So I'll measure from the neck tracing I made. I'll measure out 4 inches for the facing. I'll also do the same thing for the back facing. I'll fold the fabric into two and place a piece into two and place the back part and also trace out the neckline. The same thing, just like I did for the front part. So after that, I'm going to iron gum stay to the facing. After cutting them out, I'll iron gum stay to the facing and use that to turn the neckline. So what I will do will be to use the facing. I'll place the facing on the right side of the facing to the right side of the fabric and use it to turn the neckline. After sewing all around the neckline, I would notch and then top stitch towards the facing side. I'll do the same thing for the back piece as well. So I've done that. I've used the facing to turn the neckline. I ironed properly. I did the same thing for the back piece. So now I'll place the right side of I'll place the front and the back right sides facing each other and then join by the shoulder. Remember, I measured half inch joining allowance for this, so I would use that half inch to join them. The way I'll join them, I would place them facing against facing and make main fabric against main fabric on the right side, and then I would sew using half inch. I'll do that for the two shoulders. So after sewing by the shoulder, I'm going to fold the sleeve opening two times, half inch two times, and then hem the sleeve and also sew and close up the sides. So I've done all that. I've hemmed the sleeve, I've sewn by the side, but I did not hem the lower part. The lower part is still open, it is not hemmed. So now it is time to attach the fringe. So as you can see, my dress is on the right side. It is on the right side. So from the, like I said, the hem is not hemmed already. It is still open. I've not hemmed it. So starting from where I joined, any part where I joined the front to the back, I'm going to measure half inch away from the hem. I'm measuring half inch away from the hem of this dress all round. I'm going to take this measurement on the right side of the dress all round, not just on one part. I'm taking it all round and I've joined them all together. So the way I'll place my fringe, the fringe has a right side and a wrong side. The right side of the fringe will be touching this line I made on the right side of the dress, and the fringes will be upward, facing upward towards the dress, the upper part of the dress. That's how it's facing, the right side of the fringe on the right side of the dress where I made this line half inch away from the hem. So I'll go ahead and pin this. I'm pinning starting from where I joined the front to the back. I'll pin them all together. You can see how I position them. I've pinned all round, and I got to the point where I started pinning from the first time. So to cut out, just be mindful, the fringes are looped in a way at the braided parts, so you be mindful that you don't cut in between each strand. So you cut in between two different strands, strands as they are looped together, so as to so that they will be intact when you cut, so you don't have a fringe falling out, a loop falling out or cutting in between a particular loop. So that's how you cut, and then you sew on the braided part closest to the fringe. You sew all round. That's how you sew. So I've done that. I've sewn all round. So for my the fringe, I passed mine 2 times. I doubled the fringe to make it fuller, and I sewed on the braided part of the fringe closest to the fringe. So another point to note is that when sewing, make sure that the fringes are not cut in between the fabric and the braided part you're sewing on. So I've sewn this, and there are two ways to tidy up or hem. So first is you fold that 1/2 inch and then fold again with the braided part. That's your folding 2 times, just like the way we normally hem any hem part of a dress or whatever garment you're making. So you fold 2 times and make sure that the fringes are not cut as you're folding. So you fold just as I'm showing you. You fold and then fold with the fringe again, and then you have to flip the fringes now down as I'm demonstrating, and then you go ahead and sew. Top stitch is more like a top stitch. You're top stitching now at the end part of the braided part of the fringe. That is one way of doing that, but I think this way I did this is easier. I have to serge, or you weave the hem. I just wove the hem all round, so I'll only fold once. So I'm just going to fold with the braided part. I'm folding it and now flipping my fringe downward as it's supposed to look or be when you're wearing the dress. So I'm just folding once, and I'm going to then top stitch all round. I'll be sewing at the edge of the fringe, so I can feel it with my hand. So if you're doing the same thing, you feel it and sew all round, and that will be how you then tidy up the hem. So you just fold once and then flip over. But if you did not serge or weave the end or the hem part of the dress, you fold 2 times with the fringe. You fold in that 1/2 inch and then fold again with the braided part of the fringe and top stitch. But if you weave yours, you just fold once with the braided part and then top stitch at the edge of the fringe. And that will be all for how to make this simple bubu dress with fringe attached to the hem. This is what I have at the end of making this dress. It is very beautiful, easy to make, and very playful. You can try this, and please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed watching it. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please click on the subscribe button to subscribe, and also click on the notification bell beside the subscribe button so you will be notified every time I upload a new video. Thank you for watching, and see you in my next video. Bye.